Hello and welcome to another episode of The Code and the Coins. I am B. This is B.
And that's Tamika.
And I'm Tamika. And in today's episode, we are going to delve into the Black Tax, the financial edition. So, this is a very old saying. I don't know if it's very culturally specific for the generation that we're currently in, but when I was coming up, we always talked about the Black tax and what that represented for us in different facets of our life. So, the official definition, right, of Black tax is basically the extra that Black people have to put into everything that they do in every facet of their life in order
Yeah.
for them to establish what I believe to be a false equivalency of what the American dream is, right?
Yeah.
So, when you're in corporate America, you have to perform at a higher level than your non people of color counterparts in order
Yes.
for you to be able to
Yes.
qualify for that promotion. You have to, we always were told, I know I was told when I was little, when I was brought up, that we always had to be better than the best, right?
Yep.
In order for us to be able to get our flowers. And that shows up representative in so many different facets of our life. We had society in general has a head start on Black people and what it is that they can particularly accomplish. So, what was your first experience into Black tax, B?
Ooh. How my hair looked going. I was like, really?
Oh,
So I couldn't like this, right?
yes.
I had beautifully long natural hair and had to perm it just to get a job
Mm,
because I had to look like
understood.
what society's view of what professional women should look like. And I've always just kind of had to pay the Black tax and just how I looked alone. And I had to make sure I had extra education so that
Yes.
way it wasn't a problem, with me fulfilling my duties in
Mm-hmm.
this particular field. So I definitely had to know what I was doing. I couldn't just fake it to make it. I definitely could not do that. I really had to know what I was doing. So that was my very first experience, and it was in my 20s. I didn't understand, like, why can't I just be myself, and still get the job? That's just not how it works at all.
I also, what my experience was in regards to corporate America, my very, very early experience in just trying to get a
Mhm.
job, even as a teenager, was realizing that my name did not show up well on applications and resumes,
Mhm.
right? So now
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
very common. People don't really necessarily go delve deep into a name. But Tamika
Right.
was not, it was commonplace for, we went to school with at least like
Yes.
6 Tamika Johnsons, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But so not just my first name, but my last name as well. But what differentiated me was my name's Tamika Marie. So in order for me to start getting traction to even get an interview, I would have to abbreviate my first, the portion of my first name. So it was T Marie. And then I
Mhm.
noticed that I started to get more interviews. And of course, once I got in and I was able to talk and advocate for myself and show my intelligence, but it was always weird for me that I had to change who I was or the perception of who I was in order for me to even get a seat in the
Yeah.
room, let alone one at the table. So I got some interesting statistics for you guys.
Nice.
Here we go. We are looking at did a little bit of research because I wanted to know how this shows up for us. So the percentage of Black Americans in upper management, right?
Mhm.
Executives and senior level managers are approximately 9.6% of the workforce. First,
Right.
mid level officials and managers are approximately 12.3%, and professionals are approximately 8.1%. So, as we know in our communities, um, self employment is a huge door opener for us. And it's just because corporate life is so passive aggressive. Let's just be honest about the
Right.
situation. And sometimes it's not always necessarily us, it's just the system itself that is passive aggressive. Because I know, and let's just be real, one of the worst managers I ever had was another Black woman.
Yes. Yes. I'll wait for you to tell your story and then I will tell mine. Huh.
Like, I mean, it was the most horrible experience that I could have ever went through. I was young. I was working at Charter One. I want to say I was probably like about 21. I remember my 21 first birthday at this time. I was living in New York. So I was between the ages of 21, 22. I was back home by 23. But worst experience I've ever had. That lady was so demeaning. She was
Mhm.
rude. Um, she manipulated policy. You know what I mean? And she played favoritism. And I was just like, lady, I'm gonna just really need you to do your job
Yeah.
ethically, you
Yeah.
know? So it's also interesting to touch on. Oh, wait, first, what happened with your black supervisor?
Girl, let me tell you. So I was working for UPS at
Mhm.
night, right? So I had already had a good hard working work ethic.
Gotcha.
And so I was out working all of the other young ladies in the group that I was in. So it was like a mass hiring for believe it or not, Rainbow.
Oh,
So working in retail, had never worked that type of retail before. And
okay.
so I was immediately put in line to be a manager, have my own store, all of that.
Mm.
And so I ended up having to work at one of the big stores. I don't know if you remember, what is that mall? I cannot remember the name of that mall.
What city?
Oh, it was Oakland. It was one of the oldest, Eastmont.
NB Mall.
Yes.
Eastmont? Was it
Yes.
Eastmont or NB?
Eastmont. It was
Okay.
Eastmont. Okay. So, over there working, and I just noticed that I was being treated differently than the other ladies. And I quickly regretted working for her. It was another Polynesian lady that wanted me in her store in West Oakland. I should
Yeah.
have went over there,
Yeah.
because I probably would have still had my job and everything like that. So I was improperly trained.
Mm.
So she would always leave out of town and stuff. And I knew that I had to go and help my sister with something one time. And I had to tell her, I said, I got an emergency that I have to deal with. I got to go help. We had a meeting. This woman said, don't tell me about emergencies before they happen. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, I said, well, if y'all, because y'all looking around trying to figure out who it is. It's me. I said, it is an emergency that I can't get to today. You know what I'm saying? So she didn't like that I said that to her. And then I'm not properly trained on the system. So I had to learn it as I went, like my tax experience. Had to learn as I went. Had to learn because for some reason, what I've learned working for Black women is that if you're more talented than them, they're going to do everything they can to throw a roadblock. And it was so many roadblocks in my way because corporate was coming in, was like, yeah, we want her to have her own store. She worked really hard. But I had her and another Black manager from this neighboring store just against me. Like, I was like, what is the problem? I'm making minimum wage here. So I came into work one day and noticed that they were lessening my days, lessening my hours. I'm like, what is this about? So I would have to call in each day to find out if I'm working that day. No one else had to do that. No one else, but I had to. And I'm like, this is really strange. So
That
then
is
come
really
in,
strange.
it's very strange. So then I come in to work like normal, just only to be let go. So, and anybody, if you don't know, if they're writing you up upon firing you, you can refuse to sign it. Because then you're not accepting what they're accusing you of, right? So she's like, you're giving my merchandise away. I said, I'm not giving anything away. I'm ringing it up. Now I said, now, if your manager that's sitting here right now refuses to help me when I've called her over here, I'm ringing it up forever for whatever it rings up as. So if it's 50 cents, that's what they're going to get it for. I said, she has not helped me the whole time that you've put her in charge. Now, this is a white woman, that you put in charge. She's not helping me. And so here you come back from vacation and you still not helping me. You're not training me properly. So essentially I was let go. And she was just like, well, when you say refuse to sign, you're signing the fact that I'm writing you up. I said, no, I'm not. I refuse to sign it because I didn't do that. So I had to constantly be in arguments, with this woman. So it made it very difficult to work there. So essentially I was like, I'm out of here. I'm over it, whatever, I'll work somewhere else because this is retarded, And
Yes,
so, shortly after that store, closed or whatnot, but shouldn't nobody have to go through that kind of stuff just to have a job?
I agree. I
It's
agree. It's ooh.
terrible.
um it's really funny because you say that it's your experience where you know something better. I've also experienced ageism with
Yes.
older black managers.
Hmm.
You know, I had a manager tell me, "Oh, you think you cute?
It's like, no, you think I'm cute.
What does my perception of my appearance have to do with the quality of work that I'm bringing to this table?"
Nothing.
You know
Nothing.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And for the record, I actually know I'm cute.
Right. But it's like,
You
ma'am, you
know,
just pointed out the obvious though, but okay.
that's that's something else I would probably like to. We should probably bring that one up on the
Mhm.
other podcast session about adults thinking that they are required to receive respect when they absolutely do not have. You know, they don't lead with respect, but definitely expect
So I'm
it.
glad you brought that point up. So, moving to the South from California, you know that we didn't grow up, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. We didn't, that wasn't what we do, right?
Yeah,
You have respect as long as you didn't say what, it was fine, as long as you acknowledge that an adult is speaking to you.
right.
Well, out here, it's a strict thing, a very strict thing. Like you have to say it. People get on your children about it. And I'm like, see, if I had a child, I would really go off and read you your rights. You don't tell my child what to call you. They don't owe you that respect. So I say all that to say this. When
Yeah.
I moved out here, I dealt with a lot of older people telling me, well, I'm your elder. You have to respect me. I don't have to respect anybody but me. I don't owe you anything.
No.
And I, for damn sure, am not going to jump, run, skip, or hop because you said it. My mother is dead and gone. I don't have to do anything you tell me to do. So basically, I wasn't liked by a lot of older people
Right.
because I just refused to, come dummy myself down
Right.
because of some age old thing that y'all have going on. I'm not from here. So I don't require myself to say any of this to you. I don't have to respect you because you're clearly disrespecting me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And you are not in my bloodline to be saying you're an elder, baby. You can move on and go talk to your kid about that. But if I acknowledge you talking to me, that's good enough.
I think a lot of it also comes from the education gap. For
Yeah,
example, so
yeah.
I was raised by my grandparents were from the South, and them me being raised by them, it was pretty standard for us to say like "ma'am" and everything when we were talking
Mhm.
to our particular elders, right? So I
Yeah.
haven't really experienced the issue with that, and my children say it as well, but it's just because that's how I was particularly raised. But again, it's raised from people from the South, right?
Yeah.
Another issue that I have always experienced is just going through the college experience and the black tax that was necessary there.
Yeah.
The education system is not designed to be particularly nice for neurodivergent people
It's
or
not.
people who learn outside of the scope of pen to paper, right? So college was a little bit easier because it was lecture and I
Yes.
can deal with talking as long as it's not a monotone drone. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But I feel like there's also a gap in regards to the black tax on how education has played a huge role. So we've dropped significantly.
Yes.
Only 26%, based on a study from the U.S. Census in 2020, only 26%, 26.7% of Black people over the age of 25 had attained a bachelor's degree.
Right.
This figure includes both four-year college levels degrees and higher.
Yes.
26.7%. I
Mhm.
didn't look up the particular figures, but we know that Black women are more educated than Black men in those respective numbers, right?
Yes.
So of that 26.7%, the majority of that, the higher percentage, I would say, since I don't have the exact numbers, are going to be women. So I
Right.
feel like women are constantly, particularly Black women, are pit against each other
Yes.
for a very small number of slots that are going to be challenging enough
Hmm.
for our goals. I also feel like when Black women or Black people get jobs in management situations, it generally they're like supposed to be the savior. You know, there is this pedestal where this person's going to come in and they're going to rescue this company from this particular situation, right?
Right. Right.
So not only are we possibly dealing with the advantageousness of being a diversity hire, you know
Yes.
what I mean? We're
Yes.
expected to immediately solve these problems. And here we
Yes.
come again, having to be better.
Yes. And the
then
crazy part,
the
we have to be
average
clear that
person, the expectations
exactly.
are unrealistic. And then if there is a precursor of stress, if there is minimal resources that are provided in order for us to be able to perform our jobs,
Hmm.
if there is a deficiency in the leading management or a deficiency in the people that we are called to manage,
Right.
then we're angry
Yeah.
and untenable.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So just in the workforces alone, um, positioning yourself to be able to provide for the families that we want to go out and create is one of the most stressful situations. I personally couldn't survive in corporate America. I had to walk ahead at it's not
Hmm.
it's particularly not for me. One of the other huge
One of the other.
disparities is housing. Now,
Yeah.
44.1% of Americans in the United States are homeowners, right? Based on
Mhm.
the US Census Bureau Community Survey data for 2020, 44.1%. I'm not completely turned off by these numbers because for some people, renting is the better option. There are people that
Mhm.
cannot afford to own a home, and it's not because they can't afford the mortgage, because mortgages are generally cheaper than rent, right?
Yes.
But the upkeep of a house is a lot. I
Yes.
feel like um, I feel like the numbers would be better for home ownership if we had increased financial literacy, and also if we did not experience the redlining.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
and the gerrymandering of um, of neighborhoods that we were boxed into, and then
Yes.
you topple that with gentrification. And let's even predatory loans. Oh my God. So Housing Bust of 2008 did a doozy for home ownership. So previous
Mhm.
to 2008, we were tipping the scales at 47% home ownership. Now, a lot of people is like, okay, well, wait a minute, baby. That's not a huge difference. That's like 3%. But 3% is a loss of generational wealth, a loss of a transfer of equity. We're it's really sad to look at these numbers and actually see us declining in
Yes.
progress.
And then you have our generations trying to fix the decline. But I mean, even still, if we weren't taught those particular, education on what we need to do, how we need to buy, what we, whatever,
Yeah.
we're going to be in the same position our parents were in. You know what I mean? And like, it's beautiful. Like, Peyton, your oldest son, he's at an age group where when they get money, they're going to build on top of that money. Because why? They're about their
Yeah.
paper. They're about understanding the value of it. Whereas generations before that, it's like, no, you just gotta, paycheck to paycheck mentality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not the mentality that we need to have. You got to prioritize some stuff, you know. And I just, it again, we're not saying it's anything wrong with renting, people. We're not.
Hmm.
What she's saying is it adds up to the same amount that what I'm renting for in my cap. What you do as a homeowner is still going to equal out to what I'm paying in rent, regardless, because you have the upkeep. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then I know we're gonna have to do this on a different show, but we need to talk about gatekeeping the good information. Black people gatekeep information from each other because you have some that don't want to see you do better than them.
I'm kind of on the fence with that one. And let me tell you
Mhm.
why I have an issue with the gatekeeping of information. Because I give away free information all the time.
Well,
No
yeah.
one takes it. No one actually listens and really wants to apply the advice unless there is
Mhm.
a monetary gain attached to it. I generally find that if I'm giving away something for free, no one will want it. But if I charge a small fee for it, you're liable to get some more attraction. I did a free
Mhm.
webinar on first time homebuyers, right? Posted it,
Right.
0 views. I posted a
Wow.
flyer and said, go and watch this. You can watch the replay for $7. 26 people came and paid $7 for some shit that they could have watched for free.
Well, well.
So
If you paid your $7 and you watching, snooze, you lose.
so you have to take into consideration that sometimes people the information is sometimes only as valuable as what people are willing to sacrifice for it.
Yes.
So that
Yes,
can be
I
kind of
agree.
like a double-edged sword. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but just something that I've
Yeah.
noticed that and it's a pretty good marketing tactic as well. All right, so the median income of Black households from 1990 to 2021, what do you think it is?
Low. I can't even give you a figure, to be honest. I just think it's low though.
We've only gained about $10,000.
Oh, that's not enough.
Okay, so in 1990, the median income for the average Black household was $37,654.
Okay.
Okay,
And we only added 10 grand to that?
so now in
Mm.
2021, when was the last time we actually did the survey? This came over from the census, right? Because we did the census in
Mm-hmm.
2020. So the median
Yeah.
income now is about $48,297. So just a little over
Wow.
$10,000 is what we added to our median income. Less than 2% of Black households make over $200,000 combined.
True.
Less than
Very true.
2%. Um, so if you're making less than $200,000, then you ideally in California or other places, New York, Florida, there you can't afford to
Mm-mm.
buy a home.
But that's why you find people are moving to the South.
It's not
You know,
possible.
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I know the people that live here are like, "Oh my God, they're hiking our prices up." But I mean, my God, you're mad because they're moving here and they're adding. But the thing is, you couldn't leave here with your income and go where we came from.
Mm.
You couldn't. You wouldn't survive.
Well, okay. So to that point, um, if they moved, their income would increase. So that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a plus. But being able
Mm-hmm.
to find sustainable solutions for housing, for
Mm-hmm.
childcare, and things like that in the meantime would be a hard ditch. I had a friend that works in government that had been offered the opportunity to move to California. They were only
Mm-hmm.
going to pay a $28,000 moving package. There's no way that someone can survive with just an additional $28,000 in California. And
No.
for some people, like, man, that's like more than my salary. But that's not going to pay your rent, boo.
Mm-mm. It's not.
Rent is roughly about 25 to $26,000 for the average 2 to 3 bedroom
Mm.
in
Mm-mm.
California, plus
Mm-mm.
food,
And
plus
see, here in
gas.
our townhome, we pay less than a
I
thousand.
want to
And the only reason why it hits $1,000 cap is because of the water bill that's added on.
Yeah, no. See, your PG&E bill will be $1,000 in California, but not your
Of
rent.
course it would be. Of course, no, you have never lied
But
about that.
not your rent.
Yeah,
It's not.
child.
So even though the cost of living is significantly expensive, even though the minimum wage, like in the Bay Area, is like $15 an hour, it's still poverty wages.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Um. So up until the 50s, well, up until roughly, I want to say like about 78, Black people couldn't just go and buy a house when they wanted to, when things were affordable, right? So now
No.
houses are like about $1 million. You can
Yep.
find any house on a corner in Oakland that is infested, right? The neighborhood's horrible. I'm sorry, I love Oakland, but y'all are some horrible people over there. The way
Yep.
y'all running around in the damn city, it's horrible.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. Tearing stuff up.
man,
It's
listen,
like you guys live there. You're doing
and the
it.
house is smack dab on MacArthur is like $1 million. How freaking scary!
Why?
Like,
Right.
but
Why?
when it was a possibility and it was reasonable for home ownerships, when you can buy a house for $28,000, right? Now you may have only
Mhm.
been making $2 or $3,000 a year, but you can buy a house for $28,000, and that was a feasible.
Right.
When houses cost that much, we couldn't buy them. We were denied the
Yeah.
loans. We were locked out. You know.
Yep.
So there's the black tats on that. And then when they established ghettos, right? Because
Yes.
ghettos were established,
Yes.
all
Yes, they were.
congregations of people of color did not start off as ghettos. They started off as very nice communities that were
Of
self-serving
course.
and mostly independent, right?
Yes.
So the black tax that we experience in regards to home ownership, kind of it locked a lot of people out of the ability to have
It
equitable
did.
weight. And then you
It did.
introduce, drugs and systematic destruction into
Hmm.
these same communities where people cannot
Hmm.
recycle their own dollar. You can't get a loan
Yeah.
to go and open up a business in your neighborhood, but an Asian American can,
Hmm.
an
Of
East
course.
Indian American can. So, they're
Yep.
qualified to be able. So now, not only can we not buy, we have to rent, but even when we go to spend our money in our neighborhoods, it's not recirculating with us because they
It's
don't live there. They have their own
exactly.
communities that they go home to, and they spend their money in their communities.
Yeah.
So you do that with so you couple that with redlining, horrible school choices. It's just like
Hmm.
the ability to be better, the ability to
Yeah.
sustain the black tax is now the goalpost is consistently moving.
Of course.
Baby, it's untenable. Um, so, in context for African American communities, the black tax refers to the financial responsibilities and obligations that an individual has to face due to their race and cultural background. It manifests in so many
Hmm.
different ways, from financial support to immediate and extended family members. It also basically talks about how one person, let's talk about the person in the family that has the ability to make their situation better, but now they are expected to support the existential family.
Yes.
That black tax, like baby,
Yeah.
the the,
Yeah. And I have a client like
the
that. And
easiest
I told him, stop.
the easiest way. So, in order for me to make it relative, everybody think about Terry in Soul Food.
Yes.
Terry had to pitch in and help everybody and carry that whole mental load for that whole damn family. Somebody's bills was coming up missing. Terry had to pitch in. Somebody got to get bailed out. Terry had to pitch in. Mama's house can't get paid. Somebody back on the taxes. Terry had to pitch in. There's way too many people in that family, and they were self sufficient enough. They had other
Yes.
houses and they had their businesses, but the black tax that people are representative for the entire family, baby, that shit's exhausting. Let my people
It
go.
is. It is. It's very exhausting. And to be honest, it's really honestly not fair to the person that's doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's not. And the people that are expecting it to be done, that really just kind of just really it rubs me the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're not trying to pay that person back. You're not trying to better yourself because you know there's always going to be somebody that's going to bail you out. So what happens when they don't bail you out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a full transparency moment, right? Because I leave my shit on the table, people. There's one thing you need to learn about me. It's going to be right here. I ain't got to hide nothing, right? So I had a parent that was like that. We could get up making over $180,000 a year back in the 90s. That was a big deal. And so lived in a 3-story, Victorian home, cars, checking accounts, no problem, right? However, managing money was not her strong suit. Okay. So whereas you buy a bunch of material things and you don't teach financial literacy to your children, guess what? You're doomed to repeat the process. Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say that is as time went on, she would get herself in a bind. Then we would have to call around trying to get bailed out. Well, guess what? You can only get bailed out so many times. Matter of fact, you bailed me out. You bailed my mom out one time. It was my mom,
Yeah.
And so I've always been somebody that I was like, you know what? That cannot be me. That's got to stop here with me. Because the thing is not learning how to have a proper relationship with money and not learning how credit is important, not learning how to wage, okay, well, what do I want to do as an adult? What do I want to have? It sets you back, right? So after a while, there was no help there. So, me logically thinking like, okay, well, listen, we can do X, Y, and Z. If a business is not working, let it go.
Yeah.
Don't go down with the ship. It's not necessary. If you know you have bills to pay and your business is not businessing like it should be, guess what? There's plenty of places hiring. You're not a failure. You just have to go regroup.
Yes.
But in the minute that you're regrouping, get a job because you still have to be a functioning and responsible adult.
Ooh, say it again. Functioning and responsible.
Functioning. Yes. And I had to learn that at 40. At 40. I'm so used to letting someone else lead that didn't know what they were doing financially that by the time I got to this age, I'm like, now I got to hustle bustle and figure it out. We've had these conversations numerous times, So the part that I'm trying to tell people is, yes, you're going to always pay black tax. You always are, but you got to be smart about it, because sometimes it's always a loophole in everything if you learn how to work it. If you learn all the education that you need to learn, so that way no one can say, well, this is what is best for you, so go this route. You know, this percentage is best for you to rebuild your credit, so go this route.
Yes.
No, don't go that route. Do your research so you can be responsible with your finances. And it doesn't take a crap ton of money. Let's be clear, people. Okay. You don't need to be making a crap ton of money to be successful and have things. Learn how to manage what you have. Make sure that you put your money where it's going to make money off of itself.
So let's jump in right there, because you brought up a highly important point. Sorry, they're outside doing yard maintenance.
No, you fine. I got they doing it over here too.
Okay, so
Girl.
the unbanked. So
Mhm.
the unbanked is a large population of the Black community of people who either do not have a checking account or a banking account, cannot qualify for a banking account, and are always subjectable to additional fees. It actually costs you so much money to be an unbanked house, right?
Yes.
So in the
Yes.
comments, when this gets out, I'm going to make sure that I put some second chance resources in the
Yes.
comments for you guys. So let me explain to you how systemic and how this actually works, right? The only places that you're going to see check cashing places, title loan places, emergency loan places are going to be in urban neighborhoods.
Yes. Say it.
If you're
Say
questioning
it.
what type of neighborhood that you live in, if there is a check cashing spot and at least 2 liquor stores, then baby, you are in the hood.
You're in the hood.
That
You
being
are.
said, check cashing spots are predatory. Predatory as fuck.
Yes.
Nobody pays those fees, but the unbanked.
Yep.
You can go to Walmart, cash a check for $2 to $3. You go to a check cashing spot, they want 6%,
Yes,
7%,
they do.
12%.
They do.
You get a payday loan, they give you $250, you got to pay them back $380. You get a title loan, they want 4,000% on that. You
Yep.
load your money into a NetSpend card. It costs $2.99 when you go to the ATM. Plus, they charging you to load it, and they charging you to take money off on the back end.
Exactly.
The idea of being able to mitigate your damages when it comes to excess fees is
Yes.
it's so tantamount. It's the
It
huge
is.
difference. Now, we're not here to make it seem like this is something that you can start right now and that you're going to be a millionaire. I'm not lying to y'all. I'm not here to present anything other than the truth. Sometimes undoing this takes more than just you. It may take the
Yes.
generation. All right. My
Yes.
parents instilled a certain amount of financial literacy into me. I took it, I ran with that. The play that I'm giving my kids is going to be better than the play that I had. And it's just up for us to continue to be able to head it down. But the first thing that you
Yeah.
guys got to do is get y'all money out of them predatory, non FDIC insured institutions. You better off having cash up under your damn mattress and having some renter's
It's
insurance.
literally.
And make sure if you get the renter's insurance that it has a clause in there that they will replace any cash, because don't think that because you got cash in your house and you got renters or home insurance that covers you. You have to have the cash clause. Free game.
Yeah.
That being said, you guys have to be able to put your money into second chance accounts that are not going to put you in a position of having overdrafts. Now,
Right.
a lot of people are like, okay, well, I don't really know. I'm really not that versed on how to be able to budget properly for me to avoid those fees. There are accounts where you can say, I do not want overdraft protection. Your card will not go through without it. You
Right.
can work and operate in the space of a checking account. There are certain accounts that you have that will not come with a debit card. You can set it up, you put the money in there, and you can have that bill account. There is a class that I did. Ooh, I don't know if I can. I'd have to find it. I've got a totally different computer, and I'd be interested in possibly running this back again, where I show people how to break out their budgets and how to have separate accounts for separate things. One account strictly
Yes.
for your subscriptions. One account
Yes.
strictly for your bills. Notice I said
Yes.
subscriptions and bills are two totally different things. If you're still getting shocked by autopay, if autopay is blowing your freaking mind when it's time for you to pay bills, come on and let's talk, baby.
That
We
part.
got to have a loving conversation so that we can get you to a place. And again, we can't solve inequities in your budget. If you're
Right.
operating in the red every month, There's no way for us to be able to fix that operational red aside from rolling back on your expenses, right?
Yes.
But for basic needs and necessities, if you don't make enough to be able to cover that, then come on, baby, let's sit down and have a talk about please what we could do to turn a talent into a profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to change the types of conversations that we're having so that you can equip yourself and do the research like B said. But I don't want y'all walking into these check cashing places no more.
It's not
It's not
necessary. It's
necessary.
so not necessary.
We don't want
It's really
you sitting, we also don't want you sitting your money in a bank that's not paying you for it, beloved.
not. Mm-hmm.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
are looking at the second chance accounts, make sure that you're at least going to be parking your money into some type of account that's going to give you a kickback on it. They do exist. Now it's not like it used to be. Remember Orange? Remember Orange
Yes.
Bank? Orange Bank used to give you 3 to 6% on your money.
Yep.
Baby, I had an Orange account like it was, man, listen, my money would just
Yeah.
sit there. And it had a debit card attached to it. And then what did they turn from Orange? It became ING. Was it
Yes, it
ING
did.
first and then it was Orange? Either way it goes. They used to pay you
Mm-hmm.
top dollar. And then so did
Yeah.
Citibank. Citibank would give you like
Yeah.
2% for having your money. So these are interest bearing checking accounts, right? Nobody says
Yes.
it has to necessarily be a savings account. But if you're not getting a return on the gratis of them being able to touch your money, then what is you doing this for? Put it in a mattress and get the
Exactly.
insurance.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, literally. And then on top of that, now it's a little bit harder. You have to have a little bit more money in the bank, in certain banks, to even qualify for an interest bearing checking account.
Yes.
You know,
They have either deposit limits and so Citibank used to be $5,000. You have to have a minimum of $5,000 in the account for you to be able to gain the interest and avoid the fee. And the checking fee
yes.
at that point in time was like $24.99, right? But it was like
Mm-hmm.
unlimited checks, unlimited secondary accounts, or whatever the case may be. And the Citibank
Mm-hmm.
used to have like this really amazing program where you could take some of the money, sit it into an account. They give you a secure credit card, and then like within 6 months, they would like double or triple that limit, baby.
Mm-hmm. I have a credit card right now that'll do that. They're like, make 9 payments on time and then we'll up your limit. It's like, that's cute, but I'll never reach that. I mean, I'll reach that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you're not going to catch me spending it.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, utilization is extremely important. Just because we have the credit
Yes.
doesn't mean that we're supposed to be spending the credit. So you guys got to
You're
take that
not.
shit into consideration as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. What other points we had, baby?
Let's see.
We did housing, we did school, we did jobs. All right, I got
Okay.
one. Go ahead. What you got?
When discussing, this is one of our talking points, talking about discussing financial realities that face the African American community. To be honest, it's always going to rotate people. There's always going to be something that's different, right? And I believe that other cultures are the ones that set the precedent for that.
Right.
Right. So, because we're expected to fall in line because everybody else can fall in line. Let's just be honest. Some Black families come from old money, some don't, right? Some other cultures come from old money, some don't. I find even in conversations with, people of my own race, and even sometimes I catch myself saying it, well, that's old money. So, I won't be able to catch up with that. That doesn't necessarily mean that I can't. You understand what I'm saying? Just because they have old money, because the older the money, baby, the more people you got to talk to get it. Trust me, you got to go through all of them old people just to get your money. And so what I really want to touch on is, as a African American community, we really need to look at where we came from versus where we have evolved to now. We were very self-sufficient. We were functioning, had our own schools, banks, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the problem is we're so indoctrinated in the brain that we think we can't get it again. Or we get so jealous of each other that we can't operate together. Yeah. The beautiful part about Tamika and my relationship is that it's an old relationship. Like, it's been cultivated since we were younger. So yes, we could enter into a partnership with no problem. The problem is you have some of these communities and some of these groups, you enter in these partnerships and these financial relationships with new people.
Yes.
And y'all don't know each other.
Yep.
You don't know how they think financially. You don't know how they operate financially. It's not about, we paying the bill, we done. No, what are we going to do if we have a chunk of money here? Let's take care of everything we need to take care of. So whatever's left, that's now profit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like you have to suffer in the beginning in order to be comfortable later.
Yes.
It's just kind of how it is.
When it comes to, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a two-piece dynamic here, right? When you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about coming into business situations with other Black people, I think that we are definitely underserved because the paperwork don't be right.
At all.
We be having full-on conversations, brainstorming ideas, ain't got a contract, ain't got, you know what I mean, an agreement. We're not operating. We have not discussed how the reinvestment goes. You know, I live by the
Right.
rule of the third. We gon'
Yeah.
the operating expenses are generally a third. You reinvest a third, and then the third that's left, then we gonna split that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or whatever it is that you want to do. You might want to put yours back in. I might want to put mine back in. Or I might want to go and cut and go on a cruise.
Exactly.
But
Because this one will, y'all.
the rule of three works in both the physical
Yeah.
aspect of business, but it also applies in the finances inside of the home.
Yes.
A huge issue that I have in regards to the Black Tats and why we find ourselves behind the curve is because there are aspects of the home situation that are missing. We're not taught
Yes.
financial literacy at home. Sometimes we don't have both of our parents, so we don't see the dynamic of how finances works out. Now,
Yeah.
we have a huge debate that currently transposes over the internet in regards to 50-50. Now, I do
Yes.
believe that if you're not a high income earning home, then you definitely need to have two incomes, right?
Yes.
So if you cannot afford to pay your bills, and then it should be two incomes. When we have broken homes, that affects us
Yes.
because now one person is subject for upholding that entire house. And
Yes.
generally, there is a high inequity with single parent homes, whether it's a single father and he's got the kids, or it's a single mother and she has the kids. Generally speaking, the absent parent does not carry the correct burden for that home as
No.
they should.
Right.
And
I
it's
mean, go ahead, say
crippling,
it. I mean,
and,
don't hold back.
and it's crippling us.
Yeah, it is.
It is crippling us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all got to get it together.
Yeah.
It would make it so everyone knows this is my claim to fame. My husband is the primary parent. He is so much of a more involved parent because I got so much going on. My dream popped, it kicked off, right? And he gives me the grace to be able to really delve into this, right? Like
Yeah.
right now, he on the way to go pick up our puppy because I'm sitting here talking to y'all.
Yeah.
On his off day.
Right.
So because I have the ability to like really get out here and make something shake, even though he works, you know, like we are we actually a three income household, but that's neither here nor there. He is the primary parent. If something was to happen and we were to separate because of the agreement that we made, there would be no separating in regards to the children. These types of conversations, I believe, would have to are so paramount and
necessary
before we start even having children. Otherwise, you ain't gonna never get up from up under this black tax.
Mm-mm.
There's no way for you to be better if you setting yourself up from failure from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So our situation would be if we were to separate, that the children would maintain the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a kid house. And whomever is with the children is at this particular house.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, so that we would switch out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
not the children switching out of the house. And that means that the financial responsibility is still equally distributed. Through the home.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less than that is doing such a disservice to your children. They miles. We already miles behind.
Mm-hmm.
They light years
Mm-hmm.
behind because now they have to navigate all of this murky ass water, and no one providing them with the guidelines that they need to be successful and healthy and whole to even get out the gate.
Right. And see what I love is that our dynamics are so different. Like we're on both ends of the bridge with our home dynamics, right? Because I have no children, right?
Yeah.
My husband provides 100% of my care, right? And that's his choice. Like I never thought that I would see the light of day when I can say I am a housewife, and I am for real the epitome of a housewife. But please don't get it twisted, people. I work.
I
Very
couldn't.
hard. You know what
That's
I'm
what I was
saying?
gonna say. I
Yeah,
was gonna
no.
say, girl, we're not finna sit here and act like you don't
No, I
work.
work. And see, a woman that does not work, okay, because women got it confused. If I want to be a housewife, still works. A woman of leisure does not work.
Yeah,
There's
a
a
kept
difference.
woman does
Yes,
not
you're a
work.
kept woman. Now, I am a covered woman, just like
Amen.
you're a covered woman, right?
All right.
So therefore, if at the end of the day something goes wrong, my husband can run all of our businesses plus
Yes.
work. And he has had to at some point. I had got sick for a month. My husband was getting up, going to work late, running my businesses, going to work, coming to home, take care of me, and still managing to sleep.
Oh no, something going wrong with TNB. Mario turning on that auto attendant.
Look, and I get that part. No, I totally understand it because Mario, like, hold up, wait, I know you got an assistant somewhere, you know. Yeah, but my husband
He's
is
gonna
very
be on the phone with you, like B.
yeah, like ma'am, come to Oklahoma. We need come on, no, just come
Now
on.
you know he got that cleaning service all day, but TNB he gonna be
He's gonna be looking at me like, ma'am, come on, get it together, right? And it's like, oh, I gladly do it, you know, because I have a supportive husband like that. And one day I said, oh my God, what if something happens to my husband? And I mean, what the hell am I gonna do? Guess what? B knows how to downsize. B knows how to get out there and work if I need to, and I can take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I can still work. I never lost that ability to do that. My husband does the finances. You know what I'm saying? I'll come to him and be like, okay, so this is what I want to do. Can we afford it?
Right.
He'll be like, okay, yeah, we can do that. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's something like me, y'all, listen, I love shoes, right? But I've had to dial back on the shoes because when my mom passed, I had over 200 pair of shoes. I let that go, right?
Oh, really?
My husband was like, all right, you can have a shoe subscription if you can afford it. See, stuff like that, my husband was like, can you afford it? You know, because I can't just go to him and be like, well, babe, can you? No. My husband will maintain this house. My husband will pay for trips. Whatever else I need. But when it's foolishness to him like that, he's like, no, ma'am, I'm not doing that. And I love the fact that he will gently tell me no. He very seldom tells me no. But when it's stuff like that, if it's like, okay, B, you said that you don't care about the material, you want the life experiences. You know, so that is what I'm providing for you is the life experience. Let's see the world versus spending what our world money on a pair of shoes. It's not necessary.
I concur.
Yeah,
I am also a life experience person. I wouldn't have half the shit that I have if Mario didn't buy it for me. That's one thing I will say.
Yeah.
He shot.
No, I get it.
I shop for everybody else, and he'd be like, I got you.
Right, my husband too. Like he'd be like, go get your package from the office. I'm like, for real? You know, yeah. I'm real girly. Like, thank you. You know, so I mean, listen, it's that's the part we're gonna have to have another show about the Black family too when it comes to finances. But you know,
go ahead. Sorry, baby.
No, go ahead.
That is what I'm trying to say is like the underlying. Because I feel that it's already bad enough when we walk outside. The black tax that we have to encounter when we're outside. But when you bring it down to the family structure, it starts at home.
Yes, it does.
It really starts at home. It starts with the fact of, do we have both of our parents? That's the first black tax. And then are our parents grounded? What is this?
Something came in.
Someone paid $19.67. What was that for?
What?
I don't know. I'm getting okay. I'm getting updates saying that girl, our SAS is live.
Oh, okay then. Nothing wrong with that.
Like, you gotta pay me.
Right.
Listen, we can't be in here talking about finances and then I see some money come across the screen and I don't check
it. Nothing wrong with that. Listen, whatever it takes, whatever it is, okay?
So, I do feel like that the inequities definitely start at home, and I really wish that as parents, right? Because to me, any two people, once you create a child, you guys are a family. You might not see it like that, but that child is relying on the both of you. You know what I mean? Equally, because women do not own patents. We are not slave owners to our children. You know what I mean? So both parents are equally responsible for being able to provide the support, care, and nurturing that is required for that child. Right. And if we ain't on the same level, if we ain't on the same accord, then you know what I mean? We are literally starting out way behind the gate. So I feel
Right.
like when it comes to planning out our families,
Yes.
or planning for the families that we have established,
Keyword planning, people. Did you hear her? Plan.
planning,
Stop making
planning
these
for the
oops
families.
babies.
Yeah,
Stop
when
oopsing in life, okay?
them
Go
oops
ahead.
upside your head, baby.
Right, right, right. Because that's what it's gonna be.
As we're planning for our families, and sometimes things happen, but we
Mm-hmm.
still have to accept what's going on with this child,
Exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a question came across the screen, and it was like, when did you make your first $10,000? When did your and I had to say, my child was born. When my child was born, he had $10,000 put into an account for him that was going to mature up until he's 25. And then when he's 25, all of the interest and everything that came with the account is going to mature, and then he'll be able to have it.
Right.
And I know that figure might not be feasible for anyone, but it can be $100 that grows.
Exactly.
It can be $500
Yeah.
that grows. So if you don't, we talked about this the other day. People having children or creating families that they viably cannot afford.
Yep.
If you have no savings, then we really can't afford to start families.
You cannot. And I always say this to anybody, because here's the thing. Again, me and Tamika are on two different sides of the bridge. She's a little bit softer and understanding with certain areas, whereas I'm like,
Not with
oh,
that.
F
We're
that.
not having no babies
I'm
and we
like,
can't
F
take care
that.
of them. That's the worst
Exactly.
thing that
Because
you
if
could
I
possibly do, because
exactly
babies did not ask to be here.
they
They did
don't.
not ask to come into struggle anything.
Don't. And then the thing is, and I'm not having a baby with somebody that's not my husband. I want
Never
to be
have. I
married
have never
to
had a child with someone I wasn't married
exactly.
to, and
And
I will never.
we're not knocking you if you do, but you just need to make better decisions. Again, I don't move in that area. Tamika, honestly, for me, this is just me. I feel like if you want to have some sort of a life, stop whining and crying about like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, baby, you should have known if you had sex, you were going to have a baby. Okay,
Yes. Okay. So
it's
let me say this.
possible.
Let me say this. I don't believe I am walking living proof that marriage does not guarantee that the
It
family
doesn't.
is going to stay
You're
intact.
correct.
So I am in my second marriage. A child did come from that first marriage. That child is so freaking amazing.
But you were
Um,
married. That still supports my point.
oh yeah, but
Yeah.
my point is, just because we're married doesn't mean that it still
Right.
doesn't that it won't work out. So plans have a way of changing. I
They
said that
do.
to say this. Plans have a way of changing. Mistakes happen. Babies are not mistakes.
Mm-mm.
Things that we did not logically plan for occur.
Thank you.
When that
Yes.
happens, because I want to choose my words carefully, I don't
Yeah.
want to call nobody's babies mistakes, because I ain't never had a mistake.
Right. Right.
But when that happens and we choose to not establish a plan to move forward, then we find ourselves in situations that are unbecoming and
Exactly.
continuously are unbecoming.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're in a situation where the children are not being supported properly, and we just got to knuckle up, So baby, come on and sit down. Let's talk about how we can make you some more income.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or how we could pivot
Mm-hmm.
the opportunities that we can do to move forward. But that black
I
tax,
agree. I
whew,
agree. And
it's
you
like
can play.
an
You can.
anvil hanging over your head.
Mm-hmm.
Some days it's heavy.
It is. It's heavy on your shoulders. You never know what's going to come around the corner because everything is ever changing. You can be on top at your job one day, and the next day you come in, you have been let go because why? You didn't even know you were planning your replacement. You literally have to walk on
Training.
eggshells. You have to walk on
Training your
yes.
replacement.
You have to be on eggshells being a black person working in corporate America because you just don't know from one day to the next. You and I have had these conversations, people being fired, don't know why. And I live in an at-will state. They can fire you for an eyelash being missing. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. They'll let you go. So even more so, I see why the stress level and hypertension and diabetes are so high in the black community, because they're constantly worried about where their next paycheck gonna come from.
Yes.
And to
And
be
rightfully
honest,
so.
yes. And then to be honest, it doesn't even matter if you have a degree behind your name, because like we talked about the other day, you got people with masters flipping burgers.
Baby.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I tell you COVID leveled the playing field, COVID leveled it. It leveled it. And see, and what I want to say to our people, use that time, use that experience that we went through to come back on top. Because if I tell you, Black people are the most creative people on the planet. You can't take that from us, baby. You can't take that from us no matter how hard you try. We gonna make it regardless. We gonna make it work. You know,
Yes.
now, and that is the beautiful thing about this culture that I love. However, you still have the powers that be that decide how high up we can go. And again, as creative Blacks, we gonna figure it out regardless. But use that creativity to supplement your income. You don't, you're gonna pay the Black tax, but only you can decide how much of it that you have to pay.
You're gonna perfectly said.
You know?
Perfectly said.
That's it.
That is it. On that note, we gonna wrap this thing up. It has been amazing talking with you guys as always. We hope that the information that we are giving you guys is useful, is insightful. I hope that we are inspiring you guys and helping you to invoke thought-provoking conversations and actions that will bring you guys closer to financial literacy, that will help to change you guys' trajectory.
Yeah.
That is that's our ultimate goal. So Tamika Marie signing off from Coding the Coins for the day.
Be Lee saying peace out, stay safe and be kind.
Bye.
Bye.